I'm interviewing Andrea Carmona. Hi, welcome.
Hi.
What made you want to go on Love Island? Do you feel like you got a bad edit? What's your relationship now with Rob? If you were to go back on the show, same cast members, who's someone else you would maybe be interested in? Looking back now, would you have wished you were an OG, or do you like the fact that you came in as a bombshell? What's your relationship now with the other girls? What's something you would do differently if you were to go back and you know what you know now? Would you ever do reality TV again? You're listening to the X Podcast. The X you keep coming back to. Okay, perfect. Hey guys, welcome back to the X Podcast. It's your host, Alessia, every Monday. Today I have a special guest, as we're in Miami today. I'm interviewing Andrea Carmona. Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on.
I'm excited. I love yapping.
Oh my God, I'm so happy you're here. I actually am watching Love Island now.
Currently, okay.
Currently, I just finished it, but I'm like a little bit late to the party.
I usually am too. When people started season, I started like right after it. I'm like, okay, everyone's talking about it now. I should watch it.
It's because now I'm in a relationship, and what do you do when you're in a relationship? You start watching shows
together, yeah.
And I was watching it from Miami, and I'm like, wait, she's from Miami. I need to ask her to come on.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy you're here today.
Thank you.
I'm a year late to the show, and obviously a lot has been discussed on like reunions. And you were telling me before we started that you were born in Pines?
Yeah, Pembroke Pines. So I grew up in like Broward County my whole life, like born and raised, but I always like came to Miami all the time. So like for me, I call Miami like my second home because I like fantasized living in Miami when I was younger. Like I'd go out to like all the pool parties and the clubs, whatever, when I was very young. So I lived that Miami life at that time. So like now I'm like living here, I'm just like, yeah, I'm over it. Like I still do things sometimes, but it's not like the same hype for like people when they first move here.
For sure. When you first move, you're like, how do I get to every party? Oh my God, for sure.
Yeah.
And so from that, like what made you want to go on Love Island?
So I actually, I wouldn't say audition, but like casted or whatever, tried out, I want to say 3 years ago. This was like back in like 2021, 22.
Okay.
And I was talking to someone at the time who I thought I really liked, obviously not the one, but I was like, oh no, I shouldn't do it. Like, you know, I really like this person. I don't want to like mess this up. And then that obviously didn't work out. But in the end, I was like, everything happens for a reason, because then they reached out to me like 2 years later and was like, hey, we really loved like your audition. Like, we'd love to have you like try it again. And this was last year. Like I was actually on my way to Coachella last year when they reached out, one of the producers.
Crazy.
And I was like, you know what? Hell yeah. I was like, I'm not dating anyone. I'm single. Like I'm only going to be so young for so long. Like, let me just, why not? Like it sounded like a dream to me. Like I could just meet like really cool people. You never know what could come out of it. Like I'm a lover girl. So I'm like, I could possibly meet like my next boyfriend. Who knows? But for me, it was just to like step out of my comfort zone and like do something that I probably would never really do. So.
Right. Yeah. And when you initially tried out, how was that whole process? Did you just apply, or did a casting reach out to you?
So the first time before this, like the one that was like a couple years ago, I just saw like a random ad on Instagram, and it was like audition for like Love Island, whatever. I was like, cool. But like the process or like the thing online was so long. It was like 100 questions. I was like, it took me like 2 days to do it. And I was like, honestly, like maybe I just shouldn't do it, whatever. But
like what questions were they asking?
Like a million, like what are your favorite hobbies? Where are you from? Do you have any siblings? What's like an interesting thing about you? Like all these things. I'm just like, I don't know like how to answer these questions. But at the time, again, like I had never really fully watched Love Island or really was like a big fan of the show. Like I had just heard about it and I thought it was cool. I was like, cool, I get to meet like different people. Like I love meeting new people.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, that would be a cool experience. But I did the application, whatever, like I said, and then fast forward to the 2 years later, I guess like they were just like hungry for new people or for people that like they liked in the past.
Right.
So I guess they stumbled upon like my audition tape from 2 years ago, and they reached out like, hey, we'd like to like have you try again. So yeah, I did it, and it's just like a bunch of Zoom calls and a bunch of emails and text threads, and it's just like It's so crazy. It's a very long process, honestly.
Right. My girlfriend was actually applying for this year's, and she was saying she had to send like a 30-second video of her, I guess, talking about herself. Is that how it goes?
Yeah. Like, so I think the first time I did that, but then the second time when they reached out to me, I didn't have to do that because they already had like one tape with me. So I just like kind of like skipped that process and went directly to like the casting director and then producer and then whatever. And
okay, I remember once at a time I was like trying out for like Too Hot to Handle, like years ago, and they were like, you just have to show up on video in a bikini, tell us about yourself, do like a fun cute ending. I was like, oh my god, this is hilarious.
It's so insane. Like when I look back, I mean, we didn't have to do the bikini thing, thank god, because I probably would have been like uncomfortable. Like it's just so weird. But we did have to do, I think once I fast forward and I was like basically like almost confirmed into the process, I had to do like a 360 in like a bikini. So I guess they had to make sure that like, you know, you weren't like photoshopping your pictures or whatever. Like that's how you look. Cause I mean, I get it. But yeah, it was just so insane. I'm like, I don't even like have like OnlyFans. Like this just, like, I was like, I feel like I'm like auditioning for like OnlyFans. I don't know. It was pretty crazy, but.
And how did you kind of tell your parents and everyone that you're going on the show? Were you like, are they going to think I'm nuts?
I mean, I technically couldn't tell anyone. So only my parents really knew. And like, my parents are super supportive in everything that I do. So they were like, okay with it. My mom started watching the show actually to like do her research on it. And when my mom would be watching it like in the living room and my dad would walk by, he's like, I don't want to see this. Like, I don't want to know like what's going on or what my daughter's about to get into, whatever. So he was very like ignorance is bliss when it came to it. He was just supportive of whatever. But yeah, they were supportive in it. Once I got on it, that's when like my families were having like watch parties and this and that to see the show. So it was sweet.
So when I was watching, I was just like trying to understand like how many days it's filmed in, like even you left how many weeks in?
So I don't even know, honestly. I want to say,
is it like 8?
I came in like episode 5. I want to say episode 4 or 5. So it could have been like maybe a week or 2 in is when I came in. And then I was there for a week and then I left. But
I was like asking you before the show started, like, how does it work? Because they filmed it in Fiji, and obviously it's filmed like we get 30 episodes, and they make it seem like it's like one episode a day.
Yeah.
But it's actually filmed, you said, in longer than, it's like what, a month and a half?
Yeah, so the whole filming process from start to finish of when they actually start filming the show, it's 6 weeks. But in between that, they'll have like rest days where basically they separate the guys and the girls and you can't talk to them. You don't even sleep with the person that you're coupled up with. You have to sleep with like, they pair you up with like a random girl. Typically they try to
from the show.
From the show, yeah. They typically try to do it like with a friend. Like when we had like 2 rest days when I was there, so I like slept with Nicole like 2 of those days. They do it kind of like they try to pick your friends, but also if you're just like a yapper or like you're like destructive, they'll separate you. So like you sleep that night, because if not, you'll just be talking the whole night. But yeah, so the whole process in itself of filming is 6 weeks, but that's why I think there's only like 30 something episodes, because there's so many like rest days in between.
It's crazy because when you watch, you don't know that there's rest days.
Yeah,
you know? I'm sure there's so much shit that goes on even in the rest days.
Well, it's funny because like they'll just like stop filming one day and then continue the next day, but like it looks like it's the same day.
100%.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty cool looking back and be like, damn, like it looks like how you said, it looks like it's all one day. But.
And also your emotions, I feel like, could change in 24 hours, especially let's say if you have like you had your connection with Rob, but then you're obviously not seeing him for 24 hours, or like you're kind of yapping with your girlfriend. It could kind of change like what you thought about something, and then you have to go back into like, well, we're continuing like it's the next day. It's nuts.
It's kind of crazy. It does play with your emotions a lot, because good and bad, because it's like, okay, like it makes you like take a moment and step back. Do I really like this person? Or it makes you be like, damn, like I could get kicked off tomorrow, or like another person come in and now I didn't get to like build on like this connection with this person. So it's like, it's really a game. It's so crazy that, I don't know, definitely a lot of anxiety was going on in the show every day. You wake up, you're like, you don't know what's gonna happen.
Did you have also anxiety going on to the show, or okay?
Especially because once like the show had started, because I kind of got there like a week before filming started, so I kind of had the idea that I wasn't gonna be a bombshell. I'm like, they're bringing me in late. Like,
so wait, everyone goes in at the same time and then they put in new people? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, so depending like when you're flown out, for the most part, if you're flown out like ahead of time, like a lot of people were flown out and didn't even get on the show. So it's like you're just waiting. So for the most part, like the people that were flown out, some people were flown out, I think, like 4 weeks before the show even started. And those are typically the OGs. But there was a lot of people that came in at that time that never got on. So if you're there for that long, typically you could start the show, but it doesn't guarantee it. Like they tell you when you fly you out, like you're still not guaranteed that you're going on the show.
Right.
They have to basically see how the show is going and see like, what's this guy's type, what's this girl's type, and then they'll send in the bombshells to kind of fit those people's types to tempt them away from like the person that they're with.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And if looking back now, would you have wished you were an OG, or do you like the fact that you came in as a bombshell?
Yes and no. To me, I'm like, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
It's the way it's supposed to. But at the same time, I feel like I definitely would have gotten like a different reaction from fans had I started like as the OG. I feel like people would have like grown to love me more. And I think for me, I'm very myself and I'm very open, but I'm not that way right away. I think that was like my biggest flaw, like going into the show, is I was kind of very reserved because I really was only there for a week. And like, I was like, damn, if I had like more time on the show, or if I had like this amount of time, I could like, my shell would have broken. I would have been more myself. I would have been like making like whatever. So
for sure. Also, you're like you have more time to like connect with the girls.
Yeah, yeah.
And for sure, your personality comes through when you're there for longer, and then the audience kind of, you know, starts to learn your personality, loves you more. And kind of when you're coming on as a bombshell, it's like, who's this bitch type thing? Who's trying to steal my man?
Immediately, like when you come on in that moment, I mean, for one, like I came in lingerie, which like
right.
I wasn't expecting at all. That gave me like the worst anxiety. But like, thank God I always say that I had Nicole there with me, because I couldn't have done that alone. Like that was very insane. I'm like, I was already nervous about walking in. I'm just like, now I'm walking in like half naked.
No, that's nuts.
But it was funny because when they told us we were coming in that way, in my head I was thinking like, wait, so Nicole and I are just walking in lingerie and everyone's gonna be in regular clothes. Like I didn't know everyone else is also gonna be in lingerie. So I was like, okay, we're gonna come in like basically two hookers. Like we look nuts. But no, it ended up being fine. But yeah, that whole process in its own. But I definitely feel like, because like when I had just got there immediately, like I got that connection, I was just like so focused on that I wasn't really focused on building like the friendships or relationships that I should have.
Right.
I still feel like I spent a good amount of time with some of the girls, but again, like it's not shown because they only show an hour of the day.
For sure.
But
and also they are OGs, right?
Yeah,
so they had
already
enough
had
time.
a friendship. Yeah, they already, you know, they were growing whatever. And like,
that's how it is with any girl. Like when you start clicking with girls, like that's like, it's kind of the reality, you know, like you make your 3-4 friends in there, like
and you stick
you're
with
gonna
them.
stick with them. And then it's like when someone new comes, your door's gonna be a little more shut than like if you were all coming in on the same kind of ground.
For sure. And I feel like there's definitely tension and this and that. So like I tried my best to, you know, just ignore it. And I was like, okay, like I came here to find someone. That's what I'm focusing on right now. But at the same time, like I was like, you know, talking to like some of the other girls and whatever. But for me in that moment, I was like, my focus was like this. And like, that's just how I am in real life. Like in real life, when I fall in love or I like someone, like I wouldn't say fall in love because I didn't fall in love, but like when I fall for someone or I'm interested in someone, like all of a sudden, like my whole world like shifts. I'm just like only focused on them. And like my girlfriends know this. Like I still make time for my friends, but like in that moment, I'm like, I don't know when I'm getting kicked off. I don't know who else is going to walk in here. Like I need to make sure that this person like likes me back, whatever, because it could be a risk of something. So, but I always say like if I had more time in the show, I definitely would have, you know, built way more relationships with other people. But I'm like, I literally was there for like 5 days.
But it's like when anyone gets in a relationship, like when you get in a relationship or you have a connection, you're kind of focused on that. And it's like, sometimes it's like we're made to feel bad for that, but like it's just the reality, you know? Like if anyone on the show would have had a connection, they probably would have put more if they're more like 100% like this is somebody I see myself with, you're kind of just spending the time with them to get to know them. Like do I see myself with them on the outside world? So I get why you weren't like creating friendships as much as like maybe people who didn't have a connection early on.
For sure.
Do you feel like you got a bad edit?
Yeah, I think it's hard to say this because it's like people like to say, well, you can't get a bad edit because you're the one, you know, doing these things. But it's like the way you angle things or the way you place things. Yeah, I would think so. And also too, I feel like I'm very sarcastic. So a lot of the comments I made or things that people were just like attacking me for were very like lighthearted and sarcastic and things that I would say to like those people's face, like as a joke, and they laughed. Like, you know, it wasn't anything serious, but I think the fan base, or at least the crowd, was a lot more sensitive, or a lot younger crowd than Love Island is used to.
Right.
So they were taking things completely the wrong way. Because I had friends and I had like whatever people that followed me and like that were my age or even older, just like I thought it was funny, or I didn't take it that seriously. I didn't think it was that big deal. And then I have like these little kids saying like, you're like a bitch, or you're this and that, or you're fat
Right.
shaming. I'm like, where did I fat shame? It was just like, I was getting attacked for like the craziest things. I'm just like, looking back, I'm just like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, for sure, like, I think in moments I could have been more sensitive to people's feelings than I did in the past. Like, I did apologize to like specific people for that. But at the same time, just like, I'm beating myself up over something that like is really not that deep. And like, I'm not going to continue to like be upset or be down about things that like I know aren't me, and I know it's not my character, and I know it's not me. So I'm like, whatever. It took a while to get to that mindset, for sure.
And also, like, the people who judge, it's like, we'll put you in front of a camera.
Yeah.
Did you feel like the cameras at a point were gone, or did you always kind of feel like they were?
I mean, obviously, the first couple episodes or the first few days I was there, I definitely was like on like my guard.
Right.
And,
you're like angle
not gonna say
up,
the right thing. Yeah,
ass out.
I'm like, suck it in. Like, make sure you get my good side. Like. And also too, like, filtering whatever like was coming out of my mouth. I'm like, okay, I need to make sure like nothing I say could be taken the wrong way or controversial. But at one point, you're like, okay, well, I'm never gonna enjoy this. I'm never gonna be myself.
100%.
So it's like eventually you just keep talking. You're just hanging out with your friends, with these new people, and you're getting to know people, and you forget that you're being filmed. Like, you see the camera sometimes, so it's like it reminds you, but like it's still like, I don't know. You forget, and at the same time, it's like I don't want to like be guarded or be too much, and then not. Which I still was, and that's what I was saying. Like, if I had more time, I definitely would have been more open and like showed my personality more.
Yeah.
But I was just like still like learning the ropes and trying to like be myself, but also like not get canceled. So I'm like, which I don't think they would put anything in, honestly, that people. I think like someone said something one day, I won't say who, but like they pulled that person aside and was like, you can't say that, whatever. So at least they're looking out for like people in that way. But yeah.
That's interesting. I thought they would just air that to make the show go like.
Yeah, but I think the show is afraid of getting canceled or like something along those lines, so they have to make sure that like people are like not saying or doing certain things.
So when you go on the show and they say, you know, what's your type?
Yeah.
You have to tell them before the show what your type is.
Yeah, yeah.
And was your type Rob?
No, so I told him too. I was like, I don't have a type. Like, it's so stupid, but it's just like, you like bad bitches, like, thing that I like. But I'm like, I don't really have a type. If you look at like all the guys I've dated in my past, like they're all different. Like they're all like, some are like Hispanic, some are American, some are this, some are that, some are like dark skin, light eyes, light skin, dark eyes. Like none of them like match.
So it's more like, about the personality.
It's personality for me, and like obviously like an attractive person is an attractive person, right?
Yeah.
It's like regardless of like what your type is, you can admire like different types. Yeah. But definitely I will say like light eyes are like my favorite thing. So that for me was like a green flag. But yeah, I told him, I was like, I don't really have a type, like personality. Like I describe like personality, what my type is.
Right.
But yeah. But
and like if you were to go back on the show, same cast members, who's someone else you would maybe be interested in?
Honestly, I didn't really like, everyone kind of became like my friend, like guy wise. Okay. So it's like weird to even like think
say that.
Yeah, because I'm just like, I don't know, like I build like, I would say like good friendships with these people. So like they're all like obviously like handsome, but they're just not like, I'm not like attracted to them, if that makes sense. Cause like, I guess I got too close to them. I don't know, or I know too much about them at this point that I'm like, okay, like they're cool, but I wouldn't, yeah, there's really no one.
And what's your relationship now with Rob?
Oh, I don't talk to him.
You don't talk to him?
No. We still follow each other on social media, but like for me it's kind of like the last time we spoke was at the reunion, like he like, you know, like apologized to me like separately, whatever, and I was like, listen, I get it, like whatever, it is what it is, and that was it, and we never spoke again.
Are you still like salty about it, or are you?
No, I'm not, because at the same time, just like I get it, like looking back, I was like, honestly, like he did what was best for him, and like that's why we're all here, right? We all have to be selfish. Like you don't owe anyone anything. Like he knew me for a week, like why was he gonna like do that?
For sure.
And I'm so happy he didn't, because I probably wouldn't be in the relationship I am in now. So it's like everything happens for a reason, but
I'm a true believer that really everything happens for a reason. Yeah. When he was leaving, were you like hoping he was going to come with you? Like, because watching, it was almost like he put up this like whole show like he was going to. Yeah. Because he was like he was just like playing, it just seemed like he was playing a game.
That's what it's funny because in the moment, right, I'm there seeing this all happen. I'm just like, oh, like, damn, like he really likes me, like he's gonna leave.
But also you're only seeing what he's telling you versus like when you're watching a show, it's like you're seeing every conversation, every that you're not seeing. So it's like, how doesn't she see it? But it's like, how do you want her to see it?
So I don't know. For me in the moment, I was like, oh, he's gonna leave, whatever. But then like towards the end of like that day when I got voted off, I remember just like talking to Nicole, and in my head, I'm just like, he's not gonna leave. Like I just knew. Then when he ended up like talking to me before I was leaving, he's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna stay. And I'm just like, yeah, I could.
Side eye.
Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, okay.
I knew you were.
Yeah, I was like, I know. Now I know. Like this is all like just a game to you, and like obviously it's a game for everyone, right? But at the end of the day, like in that moment, I did really like him, and I was like, okay, like this could be something. But again, like I go back and I'm like, I'm so happy that it happened, because I probably would have fell for someone that wasn't for me or good for me, or you know, would have hurt me down the road. And like it's like all love towards him. Like there's no like for me animosity towards him at all. Like I think he's a great person, but definitely not someone that I should be dating or should have dated, or type of thing.
Yeah. Okay, so I know you said Rob's a good kisser, but watching it, why does he look like the worst kisser ever?
That's so funny, but I don't know. Like I just think like I don't have to explain it, but there was,
I'm just saying from
so,
like
know,
watching on.
So you know, like when there was the episode where we all had to kiss everyone, basically we kissed everyone on the show. Like again, like in that moment, like there's people that I kiss, I'm just like, I don't know if it's just like a connection thing or it's an attraction thing with somebody. So like obviously like when you're dating someone, right, you think they're like the most amazing person every way. So it's like I liked him at the time, so I was like, oh yeah, like he's a really good kisser. Like I don't know, like to me it was just like, and also too it was like when I answered that question, it was like on a live stream, and like I wasn't gonna say no, right? So
no,
like
for sure.
I can't say no. At the time I was like, oh, like, you know, like maybe there's like something there. So I was like, you know, I'm not gonna be like, no, he's not, or like, oh, he's an okay kisser. Like I'm just nice. I'm just like, yeah, he's a good kisser. So I'm like, but it's not like, oh,
you're like,
my God,
looking
he's
back
the best
now
kisser.
in a relationship, yeah, he wasn't that good.
Yeah. No, like now, like I would say like my boyfriend is the best kisser, but you know.
But you made merch out of it. I saw.
Yeah. I made merch out of it because it was like a joke, and I think at the time when it was like going viral, that whole TikTok whatever, I had tried like doing something with it, but at the time I was like, you know what, like I don't want to draw attention to like Rob, and like I want to stay away from that, so I didn't. But then like a few months later, like my team and I were talking, we're like, you know what, like it's funny, like it's something that people are like talking about, like
because you essentially became a meme from that live stream.
Yeah. So like Scarlett Johansson used this sound, and they're like, okay, like we need to like do something with this because it's cool. Like, you know, I feel like your fans would appreciate it. So I was like, yeah, I'm down to do it, but like I don't want it to be about Rob or associated. So we just made it like blank, and we're just like, is blank a good kisser? Because it's like what we were saying. And then I think it's just kind of like interpretive. Like people can like, if they wanted to, fill it in with like a Sharpie, their name, their boyfriend's name, their girl. You know what I mean? Like
so good.
So I think it was just like cool to like poke fun at it. It's like all fun. It was honestly like my boyfriend was the one that was like supportive of it. Everyone's like, oh, you have a boyfriend, like why are you doing this now? It's like he was the one that like kind of like influenced this idea. So,
and also he's dating you, he knows you went on a dating show, like he knows,
and we love a confident man.
100%. It's only gonna be an insecure guy who's gonna be like, I'm not gonna date her because she went on a show. Even when my boyfriend and I were watching, I was like, oh, I'm so mad I'm in a relationship. Like, I would have loved to be on this show. He's like, really? You wanted to be on? I'm like, yeah. Don't even fucking judge me for that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I feel like it's like cool to be like, I was on Love Island. You know? It's feel like something looking back. Like
for sure. It's definitely something like, okay, I could check that off the bucket list.
100%.
It was something that I put on it that I wasn't on the bucket list originally, but now it's like imaginary on it. But yeah, I definitely like didn't even think when I did this. Again, looking back, I was like, when I auditioned, I did the show, Love Island wasn't really talked about. Like amongst my friends, like nobody really talked about it. It wasn't something that was trending. It was more a UK thing. Like
it really was a UK thing, and I always loved the UK more than the US. Yeah. I feel like everyone could agree. Yeah. UK was always banger. And what's your relationship now with the other girls?
I don't talk to anyone really besides like Nicole here and there. Okay. Like we'll like message here and there. Like I tried, I think she was somewhere that my boyfriend was playing at. But yeah, and then really just like all the Casa Amor girls are like really the ones that I got close to because they got so much hate, obviously because of the way the season was with the fan base this year. They got so much hate, and like I got a ton of hate. So I feel like we like trauma bonded over that. And so like, yeah, we all got really close over that. So like those are really the girls I talked to the most like from the show. And then there's some like Love Island people from like previous seasons that like reached out that I like chat with here and there. But yeah.
Was the reunion something that like scared the shit out of you? You're like, what is everyone gonna say? Or
I was more just like, for me it was kind of like, okay, finally I get to get this over with, right? I was like, I do the reunion and I never have to like deal with these people again, never have to talk about this again, like in that way, you know, like I don't mind talking about it because I think it's interesting and it's a part of my life. So I'm like, I'm not gonna be like, no, like that's done. Like it was a part of my life, and you know, it made a big impact on my life, learned a lot, met really cool people, so I'm definitely don't regret it at all. But yeah, the reunion, definitely going into that was just like, God, like I already like knew what people were gonna say. Everyone was gonna attack me, and it was gonna be the whole thing. So I was just like, you know what, like I'm just gonna sit there and just like take it, because I know a part of like people wanted me to just like lash out and like be this crazy person, just start screaming this and that. And I was like, you know what, like it's like, for me, it's a waste. It's a waste of energy. I'm like, I'm just gonna sit here, like let them say what they want to say. They can say whatever they want to say, and that's it, and move on. Like I'm not gonna sit here and go back and forth and like try to explain myself to people that are just not gonna like understand me or even care.
Yeah. And then after the reunion, like after it was done filming, did you guys all go out? Like, did you have a conversation with anyone, or was it really just like done after that?
Yeah, I want to say it was after or before, because a lot of people left after.
Yeah, because aren't you like all getting your makeup done together and stuff?
Well,
like,
no, we all like had to do our own. Well, not had to do our own, but people like had people come to their hotel room and do their makeup.
Okay.
That was on you.
Okay.
But I did my own makeup. I was like, I think I was just so over everything. I was like, I did my own hair, did my own makeup, like bought a dress from like God knows where, and like I was like, I don't even care anymore at this point. I was like, I just want to get this over with. But yeah, I hung out with like I said, that's how I got close to like the Casa girls, because we got to know each other more there, like through the reunion, and then in being in New York all together. So yeah.
Okay. And how has your life changed after being on the show?
Yeah, so that's what I was saying before. Like when I went in, I was like, oh, like nobody really talks about Love Island. I really know about Love Island. Like it's not a big show. I was like, I'm gonna go on this thing, whatever, like meet some cool people and go back home.
Yeah.
And it was not that.
And have like a free vacation.
Yeah.
But then you're telling me now you're like waiting in the hotel room.
Yeah. It was not the free vacation I thought it was gonna be. Like it definitely like was a job. Like you definitely were hired to do a job. But like when you first fly and you get to the hotel and everything, you're basically just like it's like it's like COVID. Like you're in quarantine. So you can't leave the hotel room unless you're escorted by like a producer, like a talent producer, and you only get like one to two activities a day. So you can either go to the pool, go to the gym, go on a walk. But depending like how busy like or how much everyone was doing that day, like other like islanders, you were maybe allowed like one activity a day, which is like the rest of the 23 hours in your room. 1 hour you're like gym or pool or whatever. But I'm like watching Netflix all day. I'm
Meanwhile,
like playing
you're in Fiji.
puzzles. Yeah, I'm in Fiji, like looking outside. I'm seeing like everyone like on the beach, or like people doing like nice romantic walks. I'm just there like the SpongeBob like meme where he's just like looking outside of them having fun.
And they really don't want you to cross paths with anyone else.
That's the point. Yeah, they can't have like all of us out in the hotel hanging out, because then we're gonna start talking. We're gonna ruin things for like to be filmed. Basically they want to make sure everything is like very organic, very like first impression when you get into the villa. So that's the whole point of them like not allowing us to leave, basically.
And then when you get eliminated, you go back to the hotel. They don't just send you back. I thought they were putting you back on the show. I was like, you're gonna be in Casa more. Like you're gonna be back on the show. There's no way this is the ending for you.
Yeah, I mean that's what I thought too. But now because they have After Sun, everyone once they get like eliminated, dumped, whatever from the villa, you have to go on After Sun. So if let's say After Sun's filmed on a Saturday and you get dumped on a Monday, you have to wait in Fiji until you do After Sun, and then you can go home. And I think I got dumped like on a Wednesday. I don't remember when I got dumped. So I remember filming like After Sun maybe like a few days later, and then I did After Sun, right? I'm like, okay, like I can go home now, right? Like they're like, no, like we're figuring things out. I'm like, what do you mean? And they can't tell me what they're thinking or what they're trying to do. So like I ended up staying, I think for like a week or like 8 days after I got dumped, waiting in Fiji until finally they're like, okay, yeah, you can go home now. Because I think they were just like
tried to see if Rob would find a connection.
Yeah,
maybe?
And then like push me back in or just like manipulate something. I don't know. And I think as they were seeing the show progress, they're like, okay, like nothing's happening here. Like just send her home. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And you can't be like, I want to go now.
Yeah, you can't, because like you sign a contract. So it's like you're basically hired for a job, and it's like you have to basically stay once you're there. Like it's up to you. And at that point too, like we didn't have our phone. Like once you go in, they take away your phone. They take away your phone, laptop, iPad, whatever you have. And
I wanted to talk about that. I feel like the hardest thing about going on a TV show would be like not having my phone.
Yeah. I mean, in the beginning for sure, I was like, oh my God, this is so hard. But at the time, like I wasn't really like, I've always been an influencer. So like for me, I was like, damn, like people are gonna think like I died. Cause like I post every day. I'm always like on stories or like TikToks, whatever. So like for me, I was like, damn, like I'm gonna lose like all my follower, like my engagement. That's really the only thing I cared about, because at the end of the day, like my friends and family knew where I was. So for me, I was like, okay, like they know where I am at least. But after like the first week, I was like, honestly, like this is kind of nice. Like I was waking up in the morning, not checking for my phone because I don't have a phone, and just like appreciating things. Like I was meditating more, like I was journaling. So it really like throughout, and then obviously going into the show, like you don't even care about your phone at that point because you're just like with all these people.
Yeah. But then when you got eliminated and you're in Fiji and you're just watching Netflix with your 1 to 2 activities, you don't have your phone.
No.
That's nuts.
But I was kind of happy about it because so when I got off the show and they have a on-site therapist to do like weekly check-ins with you. And I remember like right after I got the show, like I was obviously like broken, like I was just like really upset and like confused, and like obviously the way everything happened, I was like how is this fair? This is not fair, whatever. And I remember like the therapist like saying something along the lines like, you know, like how do you think you're gonna deal with like social media when you get back on? You know, like it's very like intense out there. And in my head I'm like, she's trying to tell me something without telling me something, and in my head I'm just like, oh my god, like what are people saying about me on social media? Like then I was like freaking out and I was like, oh my god, like
they hate me online.
Like what's going on, this and that. So then at that point I was like, I don't even want my phone. The second I finally got my phone back, I turned it on and it was like my phone froze. It was like messages and messages, and I didn't even open social media yet. I just saw a bunch of texts from like close friends that I hadn't talked to in forever, just people reaching out being like, hey, you know, like, you know, we know you, we love you, we know that's not you, and like doesn't matter what people are saying. And in my head I'm just like, oh god, I'm like, what if, like immediately I'm thinking the worst. And then I called my best friend. She's the first person I call. I FaceTime her. I'm just like, hey. She's like, oh my gosh. She starts freaking out. She's like crying because we hadn't talked in like a month. And she's like,
did she know you were going on the show?
Yeah, she knew.
Okay.
And she's like, I'm like, do I go on Instagram? She's like, whatever you do not go on Instagram. I'm like, oh my god, like now I'm gonna go on Instagram. She's like, no. She's like, don't go. I'm like, I'm not going home for like another like 3 days because like by the time Fiji's like the whole flight process and everything, I'm like, I'm gonna check my phone. And then go on my phone, my Instagram, it's just like my following went up like crazy. My likes are just crazy.
How many followers did you have? Because you were saying you were an influencer before.
Yeah, I think I had like 190 or no.
Oh, okay. You had quite a bit.
Yeah, I had like 190 or 2. I really don't remember. I had like 190 or 200, and then now I'm at like 315 around there. But yeah, it jumped a lot. But it was like, I didn't get it because like I had all these new followers that are just like, it's all hate. So I'm like, why are people following me if they hate me? Like, it didn't make sense to me. And like all my comments, I was just like reading, like that was the thing. I just kept seeing like comments like, you suck, you're a homewrecker, you're a mean girl, you're this and that. And I'm like, I'm like, do these people know how Love Island works?
I'm so confused.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Also, like, I feel like the way you left was kind of genuine. You were like, I had a connection and I got booted off. Like, if anything, I thought you'd come off and like people would love you.
And feel bad, yeah. Yeah. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, like they're going to get it. Like, they're going to get, no. Because like I said, the people that are like, our age or like even older, like a lot of moms were watching the show, like everyone felt for me and everyone like knew me and they saw me, and like it was all like the younger fans that just like, I guess it was their first time watching the show, or like
they don't understand like the production and what goes into it, and like that,
or
they
just hated me because of like what happened, and like I broke up this couple. But it's like, do you understand that like they're like, oh, you're a homewrecker, this and that. I'm like, my job was to go in there and meet someone. Yeah. And unfortunately, the person that I liked the most genuinely was somebody that everybody loved together. At the end of the day, like, he had to pick me. It wasn't like I stole him, was like, you can't talk to her. Like, he had to choose. And it's like, it's a two-way street. Like, why is everyone mad at me? Like, they should be mad at him. Like, you know? And like, I feel like I got like the short end of the stick in that way. But at the end of the day, I'm like, listen, like, in my eyes, I'm like, I came in as a bombshell. I had to find someone. At the end of the day, like, the couple that, like, whatever that I broke up had only been together for 4 days. So it's like, when I went in, producers, and I told the producer, I was like, you know, like, what if I like someone that, like, is with someone, blah, blah, whatever. They're like, listen, you don't owe anyone anything. Everyone's only known each other for, like, a couple of days. Like, it's not a big deal, this and that. So I'm like, okay, like, I kept telling myself that. Because at the end of the day, it's like, listen, like, I don't know these girls. People are just like, oh, you're not a girl's girl. It's like, I don't owe loyalty to anyone. I don't know these people. Like, I'm going in selfishly for myself. And if I, you know, like, obviously I loved all the girls. I got along with them very well. But at the end of the day, like, you have to be selfish. If I like someone, I'm not gonna be like, oh, well, he's already with somebody and she's really nice. Like, I can't. Then, like, okay, like, fuck me then. Like, who else am I gonna go for? I'm not gonna go for someone I don't like because of whatever. So for me, it was like, listen, like, it is what it is. At the end of the day, like, if this person likes me back, then whatever. Like, you know, and if he didn't, I would be like, okay, next person, you know. But I feel like I got attacked for literally doing my job, and like, I don't know, we hit it off and it was great, and whatever. And it ended up working out for everyone. So it's like people are like attacking me, but like now everyone's like who they're supposed to be with.
Yeah.
And it's just like the name of the game, like whatever. I don't know.
What's something you would do differently if you were to go back and you know what you know now?
I think I probably would have been more open or more vocal about like the way I felt. I feel like I bit my tongue a lot, and like not in a bad way as like, oh, I would have been like whatever. I just feel like I would have been more of myself, and I feel like I was very guarded, and like I wasn't really like my like personality didn't really show. But I definitely like people were just like, oh, well, you should have like pulled like this person for a chat, you know, after you took Rob, and I was like, I did. But production didn't show that. So people are thinking I'm like this girl that just like a mean girl, whatever. When I'm like, right after the recoupling, when I got with Rob, I went like up to like soul ties with Rob, whatever. We were there for a little bit. But then when I came down, I was like, hey, like I went up to Leah and I was like, I'd love to talk to you, whatever. And I was like, listen, like, you know, like this is not about you. This is not like I just really like him. Like I didn't like want to hurt you, whatever. She's like, no, like trust me, like it's okay. Like I know it's not you. Like, you know, it's him. If whatever. Hugged, we're fine. But they don't show that. So to everyone else, it seems like, oh, she just took Rob. She didn't care about Leah. She didn't even talk to her. She didn't even say sorry, nothing. And I'm just like, but I did.
Yeah.
And so like, that's me. It's just like when people are like, oh, what would you do differently? I'm just like, nothing. Because I did what I thought was right or what I thought was good, but they didn't show that. So it's like, what, I have to do it 3 times for them maybe to squeeze in. Like, they're like, okay, for production reasons, now I know though. I'm like, if you want something to be shown or said, you have to keep saying it and doing it. So like maybe it will get into productions.
Right.
But they cut that out obviously for reasonings being that they saw how like the drama was going on in the fan base. They're probably like, oh, like they're going to eat this up, like whatever. And like, they had to pick a villain and I was their villain, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Would you ever do reality TV again?
It depends on what it is. Like, I have a boyfriend now, so obviously I wouldn't do anything like dating related or love related. They had asked me to go back for games, so like I don't know if I'll do that, but yeah, I think like something along the lines like maybe like a competition like challenge or like traders, like stuff like that. I feel like would be cool. But yeah, I'm not against reality TV. Like now that I know how it works, like I am going in a little bit like knowledgeable, but yeah, nothing like dating really.
Do they pay you to be there for those days, like on Love Island?
Yeah, you're like on a salary. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can't say like how much, but yeah.
Is it like a good amount?
No.
No? It's just enough to basically get by and kind of pay any expenses while being away from a job?
I mean, I was living at home with my family, so like I didn't have like rent to pay at the time, but like from the amount that we were getting and for the people that were there that did have rent to pay, I know they were struggling if they didn't have money saved because it wasn't
When you signed the contract to be on Love Island, any gigs or anything, collaborations that you get after the show, is that all yours or do you have to give a percentage? Like, how does
it's all
that work?
yours. I mean, they say like, technically speaking, like whatever you had before the show, but it's only, the only thing is you have to get approved is anything that was on the show sponsored. So like, let's say like it was like, we had Maybelline and then we had Dyson. So like if they were to reach out or do something, like you would have to get approval from them to like do it. Or I think if it was a competitor of like Dyson or Maybelline, that's where it was. That you had to get approval, which they're pretty easy. You send like the PR team a text like, hey, can I do this? Yep, sure. Okay, done. It's really not like anything crazy.
Okay, cool. Okay, so now let's get into, obviously, you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
You said you got off the show and you were telling me off camera that you met someone. So kind of, let's get into that.
So yeah, I got off the show and like for like, I would say like so the show ended, I want to say July, and then then August came around. So at that point, August, like I was already over everything. I was just like putting the show behind me. The reunion was coming up, and one of my best friends is a DJ, and he was opening up for another DJ who is now my boyfriend, but at the time, like I just had a crush on him. I was like, thought he was really cute. So I was like, I want to meet him finally because I had like DM'd him, I want to say. So I actually DM'd my boyfriend back in March before the show.
Okay.
But we've always had mutual friends. Like my friends have been really good friends with his friends, so I've always known about him. They've always spoke about him. And they're like, yeah, you know, he just got a relationship, whatever, in February. And I like sent his DM in March. And like we just went back and forth a little bit and that was it. But I was like, you know what, like I'm not going to keep entertaining this or like even try to entertain this because he just got a relationship. I know how guys are. Like if they're recently single, they want to be for the streets. They want to have their hot boy summer. So I was like, let me just, you know, when the time is right. And I was smart for that because like he was like, oh no, I didn't need all that. And I'm like, trust me, you think you don't, but every guy and woman, when you get a relationship, you want to be free. You want to like, you know, like spend that alone. It's not even about being like, you know, for the street. It's more about just like being alone for once and like, you know, finding yourself and like realizing, like learning from that past relationship. Okay, like what I learned from this, like how can I grow from this, whatever. And like everyone needs that time. And I ended up going on the show, obviously, right? So it's like it worked out because I feel like I needed to go on the show for myself and for my own growth and for my own things. And then fast forward, he's playing the weekend before the reunion for Love Island. So I was like, let me just fly in a little earlier, go to the show, meet him. We met, but like it was very brief, like whatever. Like we thought, you know, we were both attractive, but like we didn't really talk at all. He was playing, and then he went to like pass out after because he had done 2 shows already that day. So he was exhausted. But then he's like, hey, like I have a show in Fort Lauderdale, like you should come. And like it's 30 minutes from where I live. So I was like, hell yeah, like I want to go. So like me and all my friends went, like our mutual friends were all there. So we got to like actually there, like talk and like kind of get to know each other and hang a little bit. And then he's like, oh, do you want to come to Tampa with me? So we went in a Sprinter to Tampa, which is like a 4-hour drive from Fort Lauderdale. So then we were like really like locked in there. We're just like really getting to hang out and know each other. This Tampa show happened. We were celebrating my birthday because my birthday was at midnight that night. And like he got a sign for me at his show and everything. And then like there was a lot of fans like taking pictures and this and that. And I was like, oh God, like people are gonna already start like, you know, like talking about it. Like he's known in the music industry, and like I just got off like one of the biggest shows of the summer. So I was like, okay, this is not gonna be a secret basically if we end up doing anything. But yeah, after that Tampa show, we hung out, and
you guys were kind of official right away.
Yeah, it was kind of like they're like people were already making, oh my God, they're hanging out, this and that. It's like, okay, like you can't have friends, but I wasn't obviously trying to be his friend, but so then that night at Tampa, like we had like our first kiss, and like ever since then we haven't stopped hanging out. Like we were like together every weekend. He came to Miami that following week to like see me, and then we got closer. We went to Burning Man together, which is festival in the desert.
In Vegas,
in
right?
Vegas, or is it in Vegas, or I think it's like near Vegas. It's called, God, I'm forgetting the name now, but it's called like the Playa. It's like a huge desert in Nevada. But there's we really got close because it's like, okay, like now we literally have like no service, you don't have any power, you're basically in the desert, just, you know, there for vibes. And then 3 weeks of like just hanging out a lot and just talking. Then he asked me to be his girlfriend when we were in Thailand together. Okay. So we moved very fast. We talked for 3 weeks. He asked me to be his girlfriend.
I feel like when it works and it's easy, it normally is.
Yeah.
Quick.
So 2 months later, we moved in together, and everyone was just like, oh my God, like you shouldn't move in with someone so fast, like blah, 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 whatever. I was like, I don't care.
We literally have the same time period. Same time period.
For you too. With your boyfriend.
It was like 3 months when we moved in together. Yeah. It's like,
but I'm like, why waste time? Like, why play games? Like, why like, oh no, it has to be like this, and you have to date them for this amount. It's like, no, who cares?
Sometimes it just works, and it's just like easy, and it's convenient, and it's just like, well, it's the beginning stage. We want to be together, and don't fight it. You know, sometimes when it's easy and it's not so complicated, it's just so much better.
It's the best because I've talked.
But you have to be ready for that, though.
Yeah.
Because when you're not, you're gonna be like icked out, and you're gonna be like, oh my God, he's moving too fast, and like he's too much of a nice guy, or all these things. But like when you're ready for the nice guy or the guy that's actually ready to settle down, these things are not weird.
And that's so, I love that you say that because it's so true. Like in the past, like I feel like I've always been a lover girl, and my boyfriend's a lover boy. So like we've both dealt with like people in that way. And at least for me, like living in Miami, basically, like the guys here and the dating here sucks.
I love how you're like, is your guy from Miami though?
I'm like, God bless you. But like for me, it was like I talked to guys for so long, and like they would never wife me up, or they'd always have an excuse because they'd have commitment issues, this and that. And like with him, I was like, 3 weeks he's asking me to be his girlfriend. I'm just like, it just goes to show like when a guy knows, he knows. He's never gonna like push it or wait it. Like if they wanted to, they would. So that's like my side on him. But same thing, like for me, like in the past, I would date like these like fuck boys who like wouldn't give me anything, and then I'd have like the nice guy being like, let me take you to dinner, this and that. I'm like, ew, like I don't want that.
Like why is this so easy?
I'm like, you're being like too nice, like give me like something. But like with my boyfriend, like we were both immediately like lover boy, lover girls. Everything was easy, everything was sweet. But I think just because our connection was so good and we just liked each other so much, like we weren't icked out by it. It was just like we're just matching each other's energy basically.
100%. The icks only come like when you're interested in someone and ready for someone, the icks are not there.
Yeah.
Or you like turn a blind eye to
Yeah,
them.
you're like, that used to bother me, but like I love it now that like he does this or something, like
100%.
weird things.
Where would you say in Miami is a good place to like meet someone?
For me, I always say like the gym, or like if you're going to like a coffee, well, I guess it's hard at a coffee shop. People
like
go there
where
for
your
work.
interests are.
Yeah, where your interests are. But like even like, let's say you go out to like, well, I don't want to say space. I used to spend a lot of time at space. But like there, you're not gonna really have a real conversation. But I would say like lounges, like
you love the DJs.
I love
the DJs.
Not the DJs, I love the music. I love one DJ. But I've always loved like the scene because I just love music. I mean, I've been singing and songwriting since I was like a baby. So, like
I didn't know this.
Yeah, I've been making music my whole life. So for me, like I've always just been so inspired by the music. I remember like there was a period where I was always in space. Like there was like I think it was like 2 months I was like at space, like maybe every weekend, if not every other weekend. But for me, I was just like, wow, this is so cool. It's like such a cool community. Everyone's here just for the music. Like no one's here to like show off and like be something. It's just like genuine. And like I was discovering so much music that I didn't even know I liked, because it's a lot of different like styles. You have like minimal, you have like deep, you have like tech, you have like house music. So it's like you get like bits and pieces of everything. And like I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like I was so inspired, and I just loved like just being immersed in that world. But yeah, like that was probably like my favorite. So for me, like when I go to like, I just love going to festivals, and I love like, now I don't go out in the night scene a lot anymore, just because like I said, I did it a lot. But if it's like a really cool artist that I hadn't seen in a while, or someone that I've been wanting to see, I'm there. But for me, I just love festivals. And like my girlfriends and I are like, we go to like Coachella, EDC, like Ultra.
And on the show, are you guys able to drink?
No.
At all?
Well, so not freely. So technically every night they give us like half a glass of wine, and when I say half, it's like this much of wine, and they were supposed to give us 2, which would equal just 1 glass of wine. But they like skimped out on us. I think it was only one night where they gave us 2 glasses, but they were just like, I guess there was so much drama, and like all of us were like very like talkative, that they're like, oh, they don't need more alcohol.
They don't need alcohol to start chatting. They're already chatting.
Yeah. So that was the one thing. I came off the show and I was like such a lightweight. I like one drink and I was like on the floor, because I hadn't drank in like 6 weeks. So. But
like, what's the deal with like these breakfasts on the show?
Oh my God, yeah.
Why does it always look like child breakfast?
Because
when they're like, I made breakfast for you, and it's like 2 carrots, a blueberry, and like, I don't know if it was on like the US one, but like every time I watch, I'm like, what is this breakfast?
Well, the US one was like infamously known for the avocado toast. Yeah, because we had just had a crap ton of avocados. And for the most part, the guys are the one making the breakfast. And I feel like the only one that actually like I feel like was like a chef was like Connor, because he would make like homemade pancakes and do like the whole 9, because he said like he enjoyed cooking. He got a lot of hate because of like just like dating Janae, or I guess like because he left Janae for like someone else at one point. It was like a whole thing, but like there's the fan
name
base.
Of the game.
Yeah, I'm like, it's just the same thing. But for me, I was like, I got the most hate on the show, and I'm like, I thank God that it was me, because I know anyone else that would have gotten the same amount of hate as me wouldn't, I mean, knock on wood, but they wouldn't have taken it well. And a lot of people have like off themselves from the show or from other reality TV shows because
even
of
hosts.
Yeah. So I was like very blessed that, you know, like I have a very strong faith and like relationship with God, and like I have my parents and I have my friends that were very supportive, and like I don't know, like
that's everything.
It took me a lot to just like, I never had those thoughts, right? Because like I wouldn't even allow myself, and to me, I'm just like, I'm not gonna let these people win. It was like my ego, and also like I was like depressed at one point, like when I first got the show. It was like a lot to like handle. But yeah, if I didn't have like the support group that I had, I don't know, like I know a lot of people were struggling with the hate that they were getting, and I can only imagine if they dealt with what I dealt with. So yeah.
Oh my God, that's nuts. Well, yeah, you seem like you have like a really strong character, and thank God, honestly, that you were able to like, you know, have friends and everyone in your circle, because for sure, like even I who post on like TikTok and like things go viral and like people just like criticize your appearance, what you're saying, it's like, it's nuts. Yeah. And it's like, these people don't know you.
No, and they don't care about you. They don't care how you feel. And like, they're the first ones to be like, guys, like don't bully this and that. But they're there on their burner accounts or whatever. I'm just like, and for me, it was just like, I remember like, and my boyfriend was also like an angel in disguise, because he had his fair share of hate when he first started like getting into the scene. So like he gave me such good advice, and like he was always there for me. And to this day, he's still there for me, because I still have moments where I still get attacked, and I'm just like, I break down sometimes, because this is a lot. Like, it's like a roller coaster. You still deal with it. But for me, it was kind of like, he would be like, oh, but you know, you just can't care about these things. I'm just like, okay, well, it's easy for you because I post my thumb and I'm getting attacked. Like, it was like, I had never seen such like hate, and I'm sure like big celebrities have dealt with that, but I was like, I had never seen it from like an influencer scale, right? Of just getting attacked for everything you did. And like, even if I wasn't doing anything wrong, I was like getting attacked, like, oh, like she's doing this, like she's
it's like everything. They'll be like, you're a whore.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? I'm just posting my Starbucks coffee.
Bowling with my brothers, and like, they're like, oh my God, like she's just trying so hard. I'm like, to hang out with my family, like what? Like, it was just so crazy. Like,
have any celebrities reached out after the show?
Some. It wasn't like, I would say like more like guy celebrities for other reasons, but
it was guy celebrities?
Yeah.
Can you name like any?
I don't want to like air their dirty laundry, but yeah, there were some that like I was like surprised that like reached out. But like, again, for me, I was like, I'm very, like when I meet people or like people are interested in me, like I like it to be more genuine or more like in person. So for me, I was like, oh, they're just reaching out because they thought I was hot on the show. Like, it wasn't like I was like, oh, whatever. I honestly didn't reply to any of them, like unless it was like, oh, like, you know, like, sorry you're dealing with this, like, you know, like blah blah blah, whatever. I was like, appreciate the message type of thing. But yeah. Okay. Other than that, no. I saw Tate McRae was watching Love Island, and I was like freaking out because I love Tate McRae. I'm like a huge Tate McRae fan.
Oh my
but
God.
I DM'd her, she didn't answer. But like, whatever, it's fine.
You never know. Yeah. And also you sing, you never know when.
Yeah. She's like iconic. I love her though.
Yeah, she's also Canadian.
I know.
She's from, I think, Toronto, right?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say before we close up?
No, I really don't have anything else to say. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much for coming on.
You keep coming back.